The god of desire died because he desired the impossible. He aimed his arrow at the heart of a god. But the god had no heart left to tempt. This is not a tale of war or revenge. It is a story of silence, of desire, and of a gaze that could reduce the universe to ash. When the god of love, Kama, tried to awaken longing in the heart of Shiva, the great ascetic, he believed he could pierce even divine detachment. But some fires are too pure to be touched, and some gods too deep to be moved. Why would the god of destruction burn the god of desire? Why would the protector of Dharma unleash the terrible flame of his third eye? Because some temptations don't just test us, they define who we are. This is the forgotten tale of divine restraint, burning passion, and a moment that shattered heaven. He was silence incarnate, a mountain of stillness, a god whose very breath echoed through the emptiness of the Himalayas. Shiva, Mahadeva, the great god, had withdrawn from the world. After the loss of Sati, his first consort, the pain had hollowed him out, not with rage, not with vengeance, but with renunciation. He sat in deep meditation, motionless for eons, letting go of all ties, love, grief, even memory. The cosmos moved around him, but he remained unmoved, as if time itself paused in his presence. The gods feared this stillness, for with Sati gone and Shiva in isolation, the balance of creation trembled. A new threat had arisen. Tarakasura, a demon king blessed with a boon that made him invincible to all but the son of Shiva. And yet, Shiva had no interest in love, nor in fatherhood. He had turned inward, away from desire, away from duty. So the gods made a plan. If Shiva would not return on his own, perhaps desire could awaken him. They summoned Kama, the god of love, whose arrows sparked longing in gods and mortals alike. He rode out with his wife Rati, confident and radiant, holding his sugarcane bow and flower-tipped arrows. No heart had resisted him before. Not even Brahma, not even Vishnu, but Shiva was different. He sat beneath a tree in the forest, surrounded by the calm of nature and the fire of meditation. Birds did not dare to sing. The wind softened its breath. The air shimmered with a holiness too ancient to disturb. And yet, Kama dared. He waited until the very moment Parvati, the reincarnation of Sati, approached Shiva to offer her devotion. In that fragile space between memory and destiny, Kama pulled his bow. A single arrow, soft as spring, sharp as hunger, flew toward Shiva's heart. For a heartbeat, the world held its breath. Shiva's eyes opened, but not the way Kama expected. What emerged was not romance, not yearning, not recognition. What emerged was fire. The third eye of Shiva, the eye of divine perception and ultimate truth, opened wide, and in that gaze, desire had no shelter. Illusion had no place to hide. Kama was not struck down, he was unmade. Burned to ash by a single glance, not out of anger, but clarity. In that moment, a god died, not by sword, not by war, but by daring to awaken what was meant to sleep. And yet, that death was not the end. It was the beginning of something far greater. The forest stood still. Not a leaf moved. Not a breeze dared speak. Time itself seemed to bow in silence as Shiva opened his eyes. Not both, only one. The third, hidden on his forehead, between his brows, the eye of fire, the source of ultimate vision, had remained shut for ages. It was not like the eyes we know. It did not see form. It saw truth. It did not perceive beauty. It perceived essence. And when that eye opened, illusions ceased to exist. Kama never saw it coming. He stood with his chest open, love in his hands, mischief in his smile, a god of seduction, a master of longing. But what he tried to awaken in Shiva was not love. It was disturbance, it was attachment. And Shiva, the yogi who had conquered all cravings, would not be moved by flowers nor flesh. In an instant, the air cracked. A surge of heat erupted from Shiva's brow. A flash brighter than 1,000 suns illuminated the forest, and Kama, the very embodiment of desire, vanished into smoke. No scream, no resistance, only ash falling like grey snow over the stunned eyes of gods and spirits. Rati, Kama's wife, collapsed. Her laughter turned to weeping, her golden ornaments scattered as she threw herself to the ground, begging Shiva for mercy. But mercy had already been granted. Shiva had not destroyed Kama in cruelty. He had revealed what lies beneath all desire: impermanence. The gods watched in terror and awe. Their plan had failed, but something deeper had begun. Parvati, who had witnessed everything, did not run. Her love was not born of illusion, nor conjured by Kama's arrows. She did not desire Shiva as a god. She honored him as truth, and truth, no matter how terrifying, demands reverence, not possession. This was the conflict no one expected, not between two gods, but between detachment and desire, between stillness and longing. Kama had not attacked Shiva with malice. He acted on behalf of creation. His mission was noble, but even noble intentions cannot force divine timing. Shiva, in his trance, had not rejected love. He had rejected interference. The divine cannot be awakened by tricks. Dharma does not yield to shortcuts, and yet something stirred in Shiva. Not regret, but awareness. The silence he had chosen was powerful, yes, but the love Parvati offered was pure. It was not the fiery arrow of Kama. It was the quiet offering of devotion, the patience of a soul waiting without demanding. This was the paradox. The god who renounced desire was now face to face with devotion. Not illusion, but truth in feminine form. Parvati did not flinch. She did not protest. She simply remained. Shiva returned to his meditation, but now something had shifted. The fire that destroyed Kama had also burned the veil around his heart. Not immediately, but slowly, Parvati's presence began to melt the ice of isolation. The conflict had done its work. Kama was gone, but love had not died. In fact, it was being reborn, not as craving, but as union. Years later, Shiva would accept Parvati. From their union would be born Kartikeya, the warrior god destined to destroy Tarakasura. The very fate the gods had tried to force had unfolded anyway, but at a price. Kama remained ash. Rati, his wife, would weep for ages. Only later, by Shiva's grace, Kama would be reborn, not with a body, but as a force without form. Ananga, the bodiless one. Invisible desire, intangible, yet everywhere. This is the cosmic irony. The god of desire was destroyed by truth, but desire itself could not be destroyed. And the third eye? It remains, closed most of the time, but always there, watching, waiting, a reminder that no matter how beautiful the longing, only truth can endure its gaze. Ashes, that was all that remained. Of Kama, the mighty god of desire. No corpse, no funeral. Just silence, and the soft settling of grey dust on the earth. A divine force reduced to nothing, not by sword or curse, but by the naked truth of Shiva's gaze. But those ashes held meaning. In Hindu cosmology, nothing is ever truly destroyed. Transformation is the heartbeat of the universe. What seems like an end is often a doorway to a deeper beginning, and Kama's death was no exception. The burning of Kama was not an act of cruelty, it was an initiation, a purification, a moment where illusion met the fire of consciousness. In that flame, ego dissolved, possessiveness burned, and what remained was the raw, sacred essence of love, stripped of longing, stripped of control, stripped of form. This story holds a mirror to the human soul. We all carry Kama within us, not just as sexual desire, but as the endless hunger for beauty, connection, recognition, affection. We shoot our arrows toward the world, hoping something will respond. That someone will look back at us and say, "You are enough." But Shiva teaches us something terrifying and liberating. True divinity cannot be seduced. It cannot be bought with flowers or flattery. The sacred awakens only when we are ready to stand in truth, stripped of performance, offering not our desire, but our devotion. The third eye, then, is not a weapon. It is a symbol. It represents the power of inner vision, the ability to see beyond appearances. It is the eye that burns away what is false, not to punish, but to reveal. When Shiva opens his third eye, he is not just destroying Kama, he is destroying what Kama represents. The attachment to outcome, the illusion of control, the belief that love must look a certain way. The fire is the fire of awareness, of spiritual maturity. This is why Kama, though destroyed, is later reborn as Ananga, the I, bodiless one. Because desire does not vanish, it evolves. Kama becomes subtler, invisible, flowing not through flesh but through longing, inspiration, creativity, poetry, desire without obsession, love without possession. The divine feminine in this story, Parvati, represents the patient soul, the seeker, who does not try to manipulate the divine, but surrenders to its timing. She does not need Kama's arrows. Her love is not a spark. It is a slow, eternal flame. And it is her presence that ultimately draws Shiva back from isolation. This is the deeper spiritual truth you cannot force awakening, but you can prepare yourself so fully, so sincerely, that even the gods respond to your devotion. In the grand cycle of creation, Kama's sacrifice paved the way for divine union. Without his burning, there would be no Kartikeya, no balance restored, no demon slain. Kama's death was not in vain. It was necessary, sacred, and so we ask ourselves, what must burn in us for something higher to awaken? What illusions are we still clinging to? What desires, however beautiful, must fall into ash, so that truth can rise? To walk the path of Shiva is not to reject love, it is to transcend craving. To burn through illusion until only devotion remains. Until we become, like Parvati, steady in presence, fearless in love, and untouchable by doubt. And the third eye, it is within you too. Not a flame of destruction, but a flame of clarity, waiting to be opened. He burned the god of desire, but not to destroy love, only to reveal what love is not. Shiva's third eye did not open in anger. It opened in truth, and truth, when it meets illusion, always leaves fire behind. Kama aimed to awaken passion, but what he found was a fire that cannot be seduced. A fire that consumes the ego, the masks, the desperate need to be wanted. A fire that demands stillness, surrender, silence. And that is what remains long after the ash. A silence that asks, you, what are you chasing that was never yours to begin with? What desire are you serving that only leads you further from peace? What if the love you seek is only born after the fire of renunciation? This is the mystery of Shiva. He teaches not by words, but by presence. By detaching from the world, he mirrors to us the futility of craving. And yet, by finally opening his heart to Parvati, he shows that love, when free of attachment, becomes divine. So now, ask yourself, not as a listener of myth, but as a seeker of truth. Do you want to be loved, or do you want to become love? Do you want to awaken desire or awaken consciousness? The choice between Kama and Shiva is not about rejection. It's about evolution. One leads to pleasure, the other to freedom. Freedom is not found in chasing. It's found in burning. So tell me, if your third eye opened right now, what would it burn? What illusion in your life would turn to ash? Comment below. Let this not just be a story you watched, but a fire you felt. And if this truth stirred something in you, if it made you question or remember who you really are, then share this story. Let others feel the fire. Let others awaken their own third eye, because sometimes a god must die in you for a god to rise through you.